Get out, sister yelled. This building is for successful people. I packed my laptop and left. Within 24 hours, her company received lease termination papers. Because I'd owned the $8.7 million property since 2020. By noon, 47 messages. We can negotiate, right? They couldn't. But to understand how my sister tried to evict me from my own building, you need to know how we got here. It starts with two sisters and very different definitions of success. I'm Jordan Blake, 36, and my younger sister Victoria has been the family golden child since birth. Victoria is 33. Blonde, beautiful, charismatic. She started her digital marketing agency at 26 with money from our parents and turned it into what everyone called the next big thing. Her Instagram showed the glamorous life. Penthouse office, designer clothes, client dinners at expensive restaurants. Then there was me. The quiet one. The boring one. I studied computer science at a state school. Got a job at Microsoft doing back-end development. Worked there for 8 years in a cubicle writing code nobody saw. At family dinners, Victoria would talk about landing six-figure clients while I'd mention fixing database infrastructure. That's nice, honey, Mom would say, already turning back to Victoria's stories. Dad was more direct. When are you going to do something impressive? Your sister's building an empire. I quit Microsoft when I was 31. Not because I was failing. Because I'd saved $400,000 and had a plan. I started buying commercial real estate. My first property was a small office building in Bellevue. $1.2 million. I put down $300,000 and financed the rest. Rented it to 3 small tech companies at $4,500 per month each. After mortgage and expenses, I cleared $6,000 monthly. I didn't tell my family. By then, I'd learned that my accomplishments didn't register on their radar unless they came with flash and social media posts. Over the next 3 years, I bought 2 more properties. A warehouse in Georgetown. A mixed-use building in Capitol Hill. I was strategic. Found undervalued properties, renovated them, raised rents to market rate. By 34, I owned 4 commercial properties worth $12 million combined. My monthly cash flow was $35,000 after all expenses. But I still drove a Toyota Camry and wore clothes from Target. Victoria assumed I was struggling. Everyone did. When I was 35, the building came on the market. 6 stories. Prime location in downtown Seattle. Mixed commercial and office space. The owner was retiring and wanted a quick sale. List price, $9.2 million. I offered $8.7 million cash. All in, closing in 30 days. My bank nearly dropped the phone when I called about the wire transfer. But my portfolio was solid, my credit was excellent, and I had $4.1 million in cash plus a $4.6 million bridge loan I could cover within 6 months. I bought it in July 2020. Set up an LLC called Summit Properties LLC. My name appeared nowhere on public documents. Just the LLC. The building had space for 12 tenants. 10 were already occupied. 2 vacancies on the 4th floor. That's when Victoria called me. Jordan, I need a favor, she said. My agency is expanding. We need better office space. Something downtown. Do you know anyone in real estate? I did. Me. What's your budget? I asked. Maybe $15,000 a month? We need about 3,000 square feet. I had the perfect space. 4th floor, corner unit, windows on 2 sides, newly renovated. I might know something, I said. Let me check. I had my property manager send her the listing. She toured it the next day. This is perfect, she texted with 6 exclamation points. Who owns it? Small Ugly, I texted back. They're flexible on terms if you want a long-term lease. She signed a 5-year lease at $14,500 per month. Moved in September 2020. She never asked who owned the building. Never asked about the LLC. She got her dream office and that's all that mattered. For 3 years her company paid rent to my LLC. For 3 years she posted photos of her building on Instagram. For 3 years my family praised her success while I stayed quiet. I kept my office on the 5th floor. Small space, 400 square feet. I paid myself rent at market rate because that's proper business practice. I managed my properties, reviewed tenant applications, planned acquisitions. Victoria thought I was a freelance consultant renting cheap office space. My nameplate said Blake Consulting. She never asked what I consulted on. Our offices were one floor apart for 3 years. She never once visited mine. By 36, my real estate portfolio was worth $18 million. I owned 7 properties across Seattle. Monthly cash flow, $62,000. Annual gross income, $744,000. I'd also started a property management company. Managed not just my buildings but 5 others owned by investors who wanted passive income. That brought in another $180,000 annually. Total annual income, $924,000. I was 3 years from retiring at 39 if I wanted to. But my family still thought I was figuring things out. At Christmas last year, Victoria announced she'd landed a Fortune 500 client. 7-figure contract. Mom actually cried with pride. Jordan, are you still doing that consulting thing? Dad asked during dessert. Real estate mostly, I said. Oh, managing properties. That's nice. Honest work. Victoria jumped in. Jordan, if you ever want to learn about real business, I could show you around my office. Teach you some things. I smiled. That's generous. I mean it. You're my sister. I want you to succeed. Success. As if I wasn't already there. I let it slide. I always did. But Victoria's company was changing. The success was going to her head. She started treating the building like she owned it. Complained about other tenants to my property manager. Demanded priority parking. Asked for renovations to common areas. My property manager Sarah called me monthly with updates. Victoria Blake is requesting we repaint the lobby in her brand colors, Sarah said in March. Denied, I said. She's also asking for reserved conference rooms. Everyone shares the conference rooms. Denied. She's not happy. She's a tenant. Not the owner. Should I tell her who the owner is? I thought about it. Not yet. The tension escalated in April. Victoria started having her assistant come to my floor to use the printer because theirs broke. Fine. Then they started using our kitchen. Then they started having loud phone calls in the shared hallway. I mentioned it to her once. Vic, your team is getting kind of loud up here. She barely looked up from her phone. We're busy, Jordan. Running a real company. Maybe if you had actual clients you'd understand. I let it go. Then last month everything changed. Victoria's Fortune 500 client pulled their contract. Something about performance metrics not being met. The 7-figure deal vanished overnight. She didn't tell the family. But I knew because Sarah told me Victoria had asked about breaking her lease early. She wants to downsize, Sarah said. Move to a smaller space. Says the rent is too high. What did you tell her? That she has a binding 5-year lease with 3 years remaining. Early termination penalty is 6 months' rent. And she asked to speak to the owner. My heart rate picked up slightly. What did you say? That the owner doesn't take meetings with tenants. All communication goes through property management. Good. But Victoria wasn't done. She started cutting corners. Complained about the rent in Instagram post. Made passive-aggressive comments about greedy landlords in her stories. Then 2 weeks ago she saw me in the elevator. Jordan, what floor are you on again? 5th. What do you even do up there all day? Consulting. Property management. She laughed. Property management? Like you manage other people's properties. Something like that. God, that sounds boring. No offense. None taken. You should come work for me. I could use someone organized. Pay you maybe $50,000 a year? It's not much, but it's better than whatever you're making now. $50,000. To work for my sister. In my own building. I'll think about it, I said. Last Monday morning I arrived at my office at 8 a.m. like always. Victoria was standing in my doorway. Her assistant and 2 team members flanked her. We need this space, she announced. Excuse me. My team is expanding. We need overflow office space. This floor is mostly empty anyway. Vic, this is my office. You barely use it. We'll share it. You can have the desk by the window. My team will take the rest. You can't just take my office. Jordan, don't be difficult. We have an important client presentation next week. We need space to prepare. Then book the conference room. The conference room isn't private enough. We need dedicated space. Her assistant started moving my things. Actually started packing up my desk. Stop, I said firmly. Victoria stepped closer. Listen. I'm running a real business here. You're doing whatever this is. I need you to be a team player. This is my office. I pay rent for this space. And I'll talk to the landlord about compensating you. But right now I need this room. The assistant had packed my laptop into a box. That's when Victoria said it. Get out. This building is for successful people. Real businesses. Not whatever hobby you're pretending is a career. Her team looked uncomfortable but said nothing. I stared at my sister. Really looked at her. The entitlement. The certainty that she could take whatever she wanted. You want me to leave? I asked quietly. I need you to leave. Today. Pack your things. You can work from home. I could have told her right then. Could have ended it immediately. Tad, I smiled. Picked up the box with my laptop. Hey, I said. Okay. He seemed surprised. You're right. This building is for successful people. I walked out. I sat in my car for 10 minutes. Not upset. Calculating. Then I called Sarah. Sarah, it's Jordan. I need you to prepare lease termination documents for Victoria Blake's company. Silence. Are you sure? Completely sure. 30-day notice. Site violation of lease terms. Unauthorized use of property, harassment of other tenants, and material breach of quiet enjoyment clause. That's going to be messy. It's going to be educational. When do you want me to serve the notice? I checked my watch. 9:17 a.m. Tomorrow morning. 8 a.m. sharp. Have it hand-delivered by a legal courier. Include the early termination penalty calculation. 6 months rent, $87,000. She's going to lose it. She's going to learn something. Next I called my attorney Marcus. Marcus, I need you on standby. I'm terminating my sister's lease. Your sister rents from you? For 3 years. She doesn't know I own the building. He whistled. This is going to be interesting. I need you ready in case she lawyers up. Which she will. I'll prepare a defense brief. Your lease is airtight, right? Standard commercial lease. She signed it. 5-year term. Early termination penalty clearly stated. Then you're covered. But Jordan, family and business. I know. That's why I'm doing this. I spent the rest of Monday working from home. Reviewed the lease. Checked every clause. Made sure I had documentation of every complaint Victoria had made, every violation, every entitled demand. By 5 p.m. I had a folder 2 inches thick. Tuesday morning I woke up at 6 a.m. Made coffee. Waited. At 8:03 a.m., my phone started ringing. Victoria's name flashed on my screen. I let it ring. She called again. Text message, call me now. Another, this is insane. Another, who the hell do these people think they are? I sipped my coffee and waited. At 8:47 a.m. Sarah called. The documents were delivered, she said. Victoria grabbed them from the courier, read the first page and started screaming. Screaming what? That we can't do this. That she has a contract. That she'll sue. Then she demanded to speak to the owner. What did you say? That the owner stands by the termination. All communication must go through property management or legal counsel. How did she react? She threw the documents at me and stormed into her office. At 9:15 a.m. Victoria called again. I answered this time. Jordan. Did you hear what happened? I heard you got evicted. Evicted? From my office. The place I built my company. These people are insane. What people? The building owners. Summit Properties LLC. They're giving me 30 days to leave. Did they give a reason? Some bullshit about lease violations. Unauthorized use of property. It's ridiculous. What property did you use without authorization? Silence. Victoria. I may have. We needed extra space temporarily. For a project. But it's not a big deal. Whose space did you take? More silence. Vic. Yours. But you weren't using it. And I was going to talk to the landlord about it. After you already took it. Jordan, I need you to focus. I need help. Do you know anyone in real estate? Anyone who can talk to these people? I almost laughed. I might know someone. Can you call them? This is an emergency. My whole company is in this building. What's the early termination penalty? $87,000. Which is insane. I can't afford that right now. Then I guess you need to stay the full 30 days and find new space. I can't find space in 30 days. And I can't pay $87,000. Jordan, I'm in trouble here. Maybe you shouldn't have kicked me out of my office. That's what this is about. You're mad about the office? Jesus, Jordan, grow up. This is business. You're right. This is business. So help me. How? Talk to the property owner. You manage properties, right? You must know people. I do know people. Then call them. Tell them I'm a good tenant. Tell them I'll pay extra. Tell them. Victoria, why do you think they're evicting you? Because they're greedy assholes who... Because you violated your lease. Multiple times. You took space that wasn't yours. You harassed other tenants. You demanded special treatment. You treated the property like you owned it. I'm their biggest tenant. You pay $14,500 a month. The law firm on the third floor pays $22,000. The tech company on 6 pays $28,000. You're not the biggest tenant. You're not even close. How do you know that? I took a breath. Because I own the building, Victoria. The silence was absolute. What? Summit Properties LLC. That's me. I've owned the building since July 2020. That's impossible. Want to see the deed? You couldn't afford. I paid $8.7 million cash. Well, $4.1 million cash and a bridge loan I paid off in 4 months. Jordan, this isn't funny. I'm not joking. You've been renting from me for 3 years. I could hear her breathing on the other end. You've been my landlord? This whole time? Yes. Why didn't you tell me? You never asked. You assumed the building was owned by some faceless corporation. You never once asked who you were writing checks to. But you're just... Just what? You're just Jordan. You don't own buildings. You don't have that kind of money. I own 7 buildings worth $18 million. I clear $62,000 a month in rental income. I've been financially independent since I was 33. You offered me a $50,000 job last week. I make that in 3 weeks from rent alone. This is insane. This is real estate investing. It's what I've been doing while you assumed I was failing. If you own the building, then you can cancel the eviction. I could. Then do it. Jordan, please. I'll apologize. I'll stay out of your office. You'll what? Treat me with basic respect? Only when you need something. That's not fair. You kicked me out of my own building yesterday. You told me it was for successful people. Do you remember saying that? Silence. Victoria. I was stressed. The client thing, it's been hard. You lost the Fortune 500 contract. How did you know that? Because my property manager told me you asked to break your lease. Because I pay attention to my tenants. Because this is my business. Jordan, please. I need this office. My team is here. Our equipment is here. I can't move in 30 days. You should have thought of that before you stole my office. I didn't steal. You absolutely did. You took space you didn't pay for, kicked out the person who did pay for it, and assumed there would be no consequences because you're Victoria and you get whatever you want. That's not who I am. That's exactly who you are. That's who you've always been. He started crying. Real tears. Jordan, I'm begging you. I'll do anything. Anything. Yes. Name it. Pay the early termination penalty. $87,000. Move out in 30 days. Find new space. I don't have $87,000. Then you'll stay and follow the lease terms exactly. No special treatment. No complaints. No demands. You'll be a model tenant for the next 3 years. 3 years. That's how long is left on your lease. Jordan, please. Those are your options. Pay and leave or stay and behave. What about negotiating? What about family? You told me yesterday I wasn't successful enough for your building. My building. You want family consideration now? I made a mistake. You made a choice. Now live with it. I hung up. By noon I had 47 messages. Victoria, please call me. We need to talk. Victoria, I'm sorry. Really sorry. Victoria, can we meet? Face to face. Mom, Victoria called me crying. What's going on? Dad, did you really buy a building without telling us? Victoria, I'll pay extra rent. Whatever you want. Victoria, Jordan please. My whole team is asking questions. Mom, call your sister. She's devastated. Victoria, I know I screwed up. Give me a chance to fix this. I silenced my phone. At 2 p.m. Sarah called. Victoria came to my office with a check, she said. For the penalty? No. For next month's rent. And a handwritten letter asking to meet with the owner. What did the letter say? That she's sorry. That she understands she violated the lease. That she wants to make it right. Is she still evicted? That's your call. I thought about it. Really thought about it. Tell her the eviction stands unless she meets 3 conditions. I'm listening. 1. Written apology to me and to the other tenants she's disrupted. 2. Payment of $10,000 to cover administrative costs and damages. 3. Attendance at a property management seminar so she understands tenant rights and responsibilities. You're making her take a class? She needs to learn how this works. If she completes all 3 within 2 weeks, I'll rescind the eviction. And if she doesn't? Then she's out in 30 days. Sarah laughed. You're enjoying this. I'm teaching her something she should have learned years ago. Actions have consequences. At 4:30 p.m. Mom called. I answered. Jordan Elizabeth Blake, what is happening? Hi Mom. Victoria says you own her office building? And you're evicting her. Both true. Since when do you own buildings? Since I was 31. I own 7 now. 7 buildings? Worth about $18 million combined. Mom was quiet. Then, why didn't you tell us? Would you have believed me? Or would you have assumed I was lying for attention? That's not fair. Mom, at Christmas, Dad asked if I was still doing that consulting thing. Victoria offered me a $50,000 a year job out of pity. Nobody in this family has taken my career seriously in 15 years. Because you never told us what you were doing. I tried. For years. Every time I mentioned real estate investing, someone changed the subject. Every time I talked about property management, someone made a joke. So I stopped trying. And now you're punishing Victoria? I'm enforcing a lease she violated. That's not punishment. That's business. She's your sister. She kicked me out of my own property. Told me I wasn't successful enough to be there. Should I have let that slide because we're related? Mom sighed. She said you're making her pay $10,000 and take a class? Those are the terms to rescind the eviction. Otherwise she's out in 30 days. Jordan, she can't afford. Then she'll learn to budget better. Or she'll move. Either way, she'll learn something. You've become so cold. I've become successful. Those aren't the same thing. I hung up. By 6 p.m. Victoria sent one more text. I'll meet your conditions. All 3. Just please don't make me leave. I replied, you have 2 weeks. Clock starts now. Victoria completed the requirements in 10 days. The written apologies were surprisingly genuine. She acknowledged treating other tenants poorly. She apologized for taking my office. She admitted she'd let success go to her head. The $10,000 payment cleared immediately. The property management seminar was 3 days long. Sarah attended with her to make sure she completed it. On day 11 I met Victoria for coffee. First time we'd spoken face to face since the eviction notice. She looked tired. Humbled. I finished everything, she said. I know. Sarah sent me the certificates. Are you really going to let me stay? I pulled out a document. New lease addendum. These are the updated terms. She read through it. Standard tenant behavior clauses. Quiet enjoyment guarantees. Respect for shared spaces. This is what every tenant should follow anyway, she said. Exactly. She signed it. Jordan, can I ask you something? Sure. Why didn't you tell me? About owning the building. I was testing something. What? Whether you'd ever see me as successful without me having to prove it to you. Whether you'd respect me for who I am instead of what you assumed I was. And I failed. Spectacularly. She laughed, but it was sad. I thought I was the successful one. The one who had everything figured out. Turns out you were running circles around me the whole time. It's not a competition. Isn't it though? That's how we were raised. Mom and Dad always comparing us. Always pushing us to be better than the other. I stopped competing years ago. I just started building. I wish I'd done that. We sat in silence for a moment. The Fortune 500 client, I said. What happened? We overpromised and underdelivered. I wanted the contract so badly that I said yes to things we couldn't actually do. When they realized, they walked. Are you going to be okay? Financially? Barely. I'm downsizing the team. Cutting expenses. Focusing on clients I can actually serve well. It's humbling. Humbling is good sometimes. Yeah. I'm learning that. She stood to leave, then turned back. For what it's worth, I'm proud of you. What you built. I should have said that years ago. Thank you. And I'm sorry. For all of it. The office, the comments, the assumption that you were failing. You were succeeding this whole time and I was too self-absorbed to see it. I forgive you. Really. You're my sister. I was always going to forgive you. But I needed you to learn first. He hugged me. Actually hugged me. Can I ask one more favor? She said. What? Will you teach me? About real estate? About building something sustainable? I smiled. I'd like that. 3 months later, Victoria's company stabilized. Smaller team, better clients, realistic expectations. She still rents from me. Pays on time. Follows the lease. Respects shared spaces. Last week she texted me, just closed a new client. $250,000 annual contract. Sustainable scope. Learned from my mistakes. I replied, proud of you. As I was. My family finally knows what I do now. Mom still doesn't fully understand how I own $18 million in property. Dad asks awkward questions about mortgages and LLCs. But Victoria gets it. He sees me now. Last Sunday we had family dinner. Victoria brought it up naturally. Jordan just acquired an 8th property, she said. Warehouse in Tacoma. She's converting it to creative office space. Mom looked surprised. Another one? Yeah, I said. Closing next month. Dad actually looked impressed. How much was it? $4.2 million. And you can just buy that? I can. For the first time in my life, my parents looked at me with something like respect. It felt good. But I didn't need it anymore. I'd already proven everything I needed to prove to the only person who mattered. Myself. The building where Victoria works. The one she tried to kick me out of. Every time I walk through that lobby, I smile. Because it's mine. Every floor, every lease, every dollar of equity. She learned that the hard way. And honestly, that's exactly how she needed to learn it.